And, and who said that starting on time should be a thing? Like we could start 30 seconds earlier. And if you're not here to watch it, that's your fault. Let's see. Yep, things seems to be streaming just fine on the streams. The chat is live. So welcome everybody. Welcome kids to another edition of Ham2K Chats. Today we have with us Kilo India 7 Quebec Charlie Foxtrot. That's a mouthful. I can't even imagine on CW. Kilo India 7 Quebec Charlie Foxtrot Forrest, who also has his own YouTube channel. You'll find them on the comments down below. You'll find a link on the show notes. Please go follow and subscribe because he does a better job than I do at keeping an active channel. Welcome to the show, Forrest. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, yeah, it's nice to finally see you face to face, virtually. I don't know if I've ever encountered a man in my life who has saved me more time via technology. Maybe we'll dive into that, but no, I appreciate you having me.
Oh yeah, no, keep the praise coming. I like that. Like maybe we should do the show all about that. No, I love hearing. I mean, I love hearing it because that's kind of like why I built Polo to do that for myself. So I'm glad anytime somebody else benefits from that, and I find that it saves some time. That I love when people tell me that Polo made them happy, made them smile, or made them feel smart. Is one of the nicest thing you can do to somebody. You know that it makes you feel like you're cheating somehow, or that you're doing something in a smarter way than you thought you could. That's like one of the nicest feelings. So I'm glad to see it works for you.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I don't want to hijack the session, but no, it's something that I wish I would have had when I first started, like out in the field. I Ironically, I have a Write in the Rain notebook that actually hangs on my wall, and it represents my first ever POTA activation when I worked up the courage to go out and activate. And it's a good reminder to me because the first call sign I ever wrote down, the first contact I ever had activating Parks on the Air, was November Victor Charlie Delta, which if you don't know, there's a problem there because it's missing a number.
yeah,
And when I got home, I realized this is how green I was. When I got home, I realized that V probably was a 4, and sure enough, it was N4CD, who's a pretty active POTA guy. But I don't think I would have. I think if I had Polo, I might have realized without a name pulling up via QRZ, I would have been like, okay, something's off
yeah.
here. And
No,
that, yeah.
to me, being able to see the names of the people today, I had a QSO that the signal report it was on phone an SSB. The signal report was 1-1. That's all I could do. It took me like 2 minutes to get a call deep down in the noise, but I could hear it was a woman's voice. So, and I wasn't sure about the number. So I tried 3, 4 numbers until I got a woman's voice, and then I confirmed, and it was her. Yeah, she from Maine. That having the names help you make sure you get the right contact, and you can say it back, and the person, if they don't hear their name, if I call you John, you'll say, oh, wait a second, you might have gotten my call sign wrong.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's an incredible example. I love that example of you plugging numbers until you found the name. I think for me the differentiator big time was like DX call signs. As a new CW op, I can copy N's, November, Alpha, Whiskey, uh,
mm-hmm.
Kilo. I can copy those coming in, but all of a sudden, I have a buddy spot me on WWFF for the first time last summer, and I'm starting to get these DLs, these OH, and SP, and I'm not used to copying that, but then being able to plug in the DX call sign to Ham2 and then see it pull up with someone and see where
Yeah.
they're at. No, man, I'm a massive fan. I think it goes without saying. I've been putting some videos out there for you. I hope that's okay.
I love that. I mean, and you would love another story of using the names as like a checksum. The very first time I did CW, like for real, was during winter field day. I was just hunting, um, and it was perfect because all the stations calling CQ for winter field day were club stations. So I knew I had the right call sign when I entered it in Polo, and it was a club.
Yeah.
And every time I got it, it didn't get a club. listen again and again and again until I got the right call sign, and it was always a club. It was a great way to verify that I was getting the right call. Um, Now I can. I mean, you'd be happy to know that this year I started doing CW activations on Pod. I've done like 3 or 4. Um, I have to ask for repeats like 3 or 4 times, but I've done it. I've activated with CW, and it feels like a big accomplishment for me. And in case people don't know you, Forrest is a big CW guy. I don't know. Tell us a little bit about you. What got you into ham radio? How you ended up here?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, and maybe we'll come back to that, but congrats on your CW pod activations. That's the first step to, in my opinion, gaining proficiency very quickly.
Yeah.
And POTA is a cheat code. I have a
Mhm.
script on my wall. If you use a script, you can get into CW very easy. And it is a cheat code because you're kind of even if you can't copy CW, you're just using a scripted format that'll help you gain proficiency. But no, I appreciate the question. So it's really funny. In the fall of 2017, so coming up on 8 years ago, really kind of spur of the moment, I decided to get my ham radio, my technician license. Really, just I kind of had a survival prepper,
Mhm.
emergency preparedness interest. Like a lot of people, I've met a lot of people that come into the hobby because they bought that Baofeng for $20 on Amazon and they want to be able to use it legally, at least here in the United States with the FCC.
Yeah.
And so I got my license, KI7QCF. I love my call sign, despite it being long, and did absolutely nothing for 7 years, basically, 6.5 years. I got into ham radio because of YouTube. My uncle John, K7CO, I actually follow him on YouTube because he's a flight streamer. Like he does streaming on Twitch and then some YouTube stuff. And one day he posts, and I knew he was into ham radio because my grandpa was into ham. But I can only remember one time in my life, like hanging out in my grandpa's shack, and it was a cool experience. But I was very,
Mhm.
very young, and this is decades ago.
I have
And
something like that. My grandpa was also a ham, and I have a very few memories when I was like, I don't know, 6, 7, and then he
yeah,
stopped doing ham stuff and got into other things and never
yeah,
got back to it. But yeah, it's sorry,
yeah.
sorry for the
So
interruption.
I definitely knew what ham radio was because of my grandpa, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. But again, my uncle John posted this video on YouTube. It was a CW POTA activation. I couldn't tell, even with a ham license. Okay, I couldn't have told you what CW stood for. Maybe at the time I passed my exam, I had memorized it stood for
Mhm.
continuous wave, and maybe that meant Morse code. I didn't know what POTA was. I didn't know that meant Parks on the Air. So this is all just over a year ago. And I remember actually being bothered during the video because I didn't know what was happening. And it like annoyed me that like this code, these dits and dots were going back and forth. But curiosity killed the cat. And within 24 hours, I actually looked at my Amazon purchase history. Within about 24 hours of seeing that video, I bought a straight key and a practice oscillator. And I ended up returning them because I didn't realize in a practice oscillator, you have to change it to manual or hand for a straight key. I didn't know there was such a thing as a key, or I thought the difference between a paddle and a straight key was aesthetic. I didn't realize there was a mechanical functioning difference to
Mhm.
these. So that's a long-winded story, but eventually got a paddle after seeing my uncle John activate, and the rest is history. Within 3 months, I'd made my first QSO, and 2 weeks after my first QSO, I began activating, and then I really got hooked, full-blown addict. That's what
It,
happened.
it's incredible. I think that the change to the FCC regulations like 20 years ago that removed CW as a condition to get a license, a lot of people were complaining about it, that it will change the hobby and whatnot. And I think that, sure, a lot of people got their license in the last 20 years and didn't get into CW. But POTA has been like the gateway drug to CW. I think that a lot of people have realized that CW is much more efficient when you're doing QRP operations at a park, that you can get further. And it's just fun. It's like it's a fun challenge to learn something new. And POTA gives you the excuse, and like you said, a cheat code, because POTA hunters are super patient. They will do whatever it takes to work you. They won't scream at you. They won't do like, they don't mind, and they understand that you're in a hurry, and you just want to change 599 and move on, because you probably cannot say anything else than other than 599 TU.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah.
I love so much that you labeled that CW was removed from the exam licensing requirements. Had it been required, I would have never received my. I am basically exclusively a CW operator, and I'm saying right now, had CW been a requirement at the time of my licensing,
You would not have done it.
I would not have done it.
Yeah.
And now it's my favorite. So I think that was the right move, and I hope people don't disagree with that too much. But I think it's good to get into CW organically on your own after the fact. And POTA, I agree, is a phenomenal format to get involved.
Yeah. Now I don't want to go further before thanking you for a huge service you've done for the amateur radio community, especially through YouTube. It's amazing the work you've done with your videos, because now anytime my wife asks me if I have too many radios or if I should be getting another one, I just point her at your videos. It's really, really helpful, and I appreciate that very much. And I think that everybody should thank you for it. I mean, how many keys do you? How many CW keying devices do you own at this moment?
Oh man, in my shack, I probably have over 20, and that's a combination of straight keys, bugs. What's funny is I began collecting paddles because of K9KJ. That dude's YouTube channel, he has all those paddles. So that's how I heard about an RA1 AOM, and I got so excited about like a Russian manufactured paddle. And then I bought these paddles from Ukraine and Finland. Then people started commenting on my videos like, dude, you got to add a bug or go find these bugs. And my buddy Adam AI4UH told me, hey, you got a few people just threw it out there. Hey, go check out bugs. And I didn't realize it, but I became very just in love with bugs. I liked the fact that I had to kind of put some effort and some style and some intuition into the code. I kind of feel like now when I go back to a paddle, a single lever, dual lever, kind of just pushing buttons. So sometimes I'll joke and I'll send code with my pinky and my thumb or other fingers. And it's still important. I still think you can have a bad fist on a paddle even with an electronic keyer, but bugs just became an obsession. I made my first ever Cootie QSO today. I posted a short. Please don't go watch it. It was like my worst Morse code video of all time. I sent just awful code. But I love exploring all things CW.
Do me a favor. Give us a 30-second explanation of what's a key, what's a bug,
Sure.
what's a cutie.
Of course. Yeah, good question. So again, I mentioned when I got my first ever key and practice oscillator, I didn't know there was a difference. I thought it was aesthetic. And essentially almost all modern radios that we'll purchase, even these little QRP guys or like a bigger rig, they're going to have a built-in electronic keyer that when you key a dual lever or single lever paddle, it's going to send automatic dits and DAWs.
You have a bunch over there, but it's kind of like this.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
With two paddles.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And basically, long before there were dual or single lever paddles or iambic modes and electronic keyers, Morse code was sent for a very long time manually. And I couldn't speak to what the first ever device was, but I think we all kind of think of the straight key, right? The straight key, the kind of the classic. I think of Einstein's paperweight, which I may or may not have just picked up that Big Ollie. That's a Big Ollie straight key. If you guys don't know the postal Einstein's paperweight, so kind of a classic.
Think of like a cowboy movies, mailroom telegraph. Yeah, there you go. That's
this flameproof. And these are just so cool. This is like a military key, right? So the history of the flameproof. Why is it called a flameproof? You can get into that. Super cool. So again, the difference is, this is entirely manual sending. I actually have all my keys right here, so I'll just give visual examples to the viewers. Then you have a Cootie. So this is essentially a horizontal key that I'm sending manual dits and DAWs by the duration that I manipulate the key. So I have to manually manipulate and send dits and DAWs. Now I can do it.
It's the same as a straight key, but sideways, and works on both directions.
Correct. And that's why I think they also call it a side swiper. So Cootie and side swiper are interchangeable. Something for my brain, though, I can do it okay vertically. As soon as I start going horizontal, I am in big trouble. But I am practicing and enjoying the process. So bugs, really fast. We'll wrap up with bugs. And I guess let me show off my Sculpture Galaxy, because this is one of the coolest bugs in the entire world. So this is my Sculpture Galaxy, and the reason a bug is different, look at that baby. Isn't that beautiful? The Sculpture Galaxy will send automatic dits via this pendulum arm. So I don't know if you can see that little arm dangling in the middle. See if I can get it to move.
So it has it when you push in one way, it starts pump, 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 sending at the right rhythm.
Exactly. And adjusting these weights up and down the arm will actually give it more or less speed. And then I have to manually send DAWs. So it's considered semi-automatic. So unlike the QD or Sideswiper and the straight key, I do have to manually, or forgive me, I do have one automatic mechanism, which is the DITs, and then the DAWs are manual. But Sebastian, you're gonna have to cut me off, man, because I could talk bugs all day long.
No, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell people to go to your channel. They'll find it there in the comments. There's a link, and you just search for Forrest CW, and you'll find him on YouTube, where they can find everything about that bug. But again, thank you so much for your service. You've been very helpful to a lot of hams trying to justify their own excessive purchases. I'm not saying that you have a problem. You do you.
Hey, I appreciate you thanking me for my service. It's the least I can do. And please, by all means, show your significant other my collections, and then you can justify a few more of whatever you want.
Yep. It's like the cyclists have the same thing. It's like, how many bicycles do you need to have? It's just whatever you have plus one. That's the number of radios you need. And I think that, again, POTA has been also a good excuse for me to expand my radio collection, because there's so many different ways to operate POTA. When you're operating from home, I mean, and that's a great thing about programs like POTA, or Field Day was started for that same reason. It's like, get you out of your comfort zone, go out, set up something temporarily in the field, and figure out what went wrong so you can do it better the next year. Same thing with Winter Field Day. It's a bit of an extra challenge because of the weather. POTA is like, how can you go to a park and set up an effective radio station and do it relatively quickly, because sometimes you don't have all day. For me, I've done a lot of what I call opportunistic activations. When I go traveling with the family, is I will leave the hotel at 6 a.m. while everybody else is asleep and go activate a park. But I got to do it in 30 minutes, an hour. So I cannot spend time loading a battery out of a truck and bringing a radio. Is like, I need to be able to get out of the truck and set up an antenna in 5 minutes and be on the air in 5 minutes later, and then in 10 minutes get the 10 QSOs I need, so that now I'm ready. And now I can leave whenever I start getting messages that people are waking up and ready to go. So it's like I've developed different kits, some of them that can put in a carry-on bag and still leave room for my clothes and stuff. So whenever I travel, I can bring a radio and an antenna and a battery. But also when I'm in the truck, I want to be able to do it in comfort. So I want to have like QRO, 100 watts, a nice 891, so I've developed different kits for different scenarios. And it makes you think about what is it that you need and what is it that you want to do and what's the best way to accomplish it.
It makes you a better operator, right? Like,
it does, yeah.
Especially when you're brand new and you start posting videos of yourself doing it, and people tell you that you don't need to put a tuner on resonant antennas, and like me. But I do think, Sebastian, I spent more time outdoors in 2024 than the previous decade combined because of POTA. And I actually got a little bit of a tan, which is hard for people to believe, but I did in the middle of the summer. I got a little bit of a tan, even putting on my SPF 100. But I learned, it was a skill to operate portable, and I started to learn what worked and what didn't, especially being in Utah with just towering mountains. So many of my parks are nestled into these little canyons. And all of a sudden, I learned a lot about end-fed half-wave orientation and how my antenna is going to behave depending on, the direction of my inverted V. I started to learn about takeoff angles for vertical antennas. Like you said, I started to understand how to travel with my kit. I've been kicked out of an airport because the Chelegans MC750 has a ground spike that looks...
Yeah, those ground spikes are not good for travel.
Yeah, TSA was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. Yeah. I'm going to Hamvention with this. So that's a true story. I actually went to Hamvention and I bought a Wolf River coil because I had a tripod. But no, it's POTA is such a phenomenal, and my goal this year, so goal I have for this year is getting involved more in SOTA, especially being in Utah, right? Just the mecca of summits on the air. So I was on the treadmill this morning. I'm putting in some time, but I got to get in shape a little bit for SOTA, and I'm excited for it.
I mean, CW is perfect for that because you cannot bring an FT891 up a SOTA summit. You need something that does 5 watts max, and it works in like a 3 amp hour battery, so that you can carry it in your backpack and not regret it. No, that's great. It's like I started into ham radio in 2020, in part like you said, for it was the prepper vibe. And I think I called it, it's like you're prepping for scenarios that can actually happen in your lifetime, like a hurricane bringing down the communication services, like it happened in North Carolina. You're not prepping for the zombie apocalypse. And when I started, and I remember seeing like things like field day and getting ready and prepping, I can set up a radio station I can be transmitting in 5 minutes right now. Like I can grab a backpack and be on the air in 5 minutes talking to Europe. And that's something that 3 years ago, I was like, it would take me 2 hours to set up a mediocre station that can do any of those things. And now I have it down to like, 5 minutes. I can have an antenna up. I have a radio. I'm transmitting. It's POTA. The great thing about POTA is that it's available every day. I think that field day is fantastic, but it happens only once a year. So you spend 11 months not doing anything, unless you also do winter field days. You spend 5 months not doing anything, and then you do one operation, and you learn from it and you improve. But with POTA, you're repeating every day to a point where like you try to optimize and remove the 30 seconds you take by using the wrong twist ties to wrap your radials, and try how can I do better radial wrapping so I can do it in 30 seconds instead of 50.
Yep.
And for the other thing that really got me into POTA is I love pileups. Pileups for me are like a Zen moment or meditation. And I see contesters talking about how they do 150 QSOs hour. Like for me, 150 QSOs hour is just a Monday. It's like that's what I did right now a couple of hours ago on 100 watts with a compromised antenna on my truck without even getting off the truck. I did 160 QSO hour, and it's a great practice if you want to do contesting and want to learn to manage a pileup, for example, because you can do it any day of the week. I mean, depending on what the sun is doing that day, but you can get pileups any day that on a contest you won't be able to get. And I love that about POTA. There's always people hunting. It's crazy.
Do you feel like that's, I'm sure you've always been a really good operator, but do you feel like, so you mentioned like you go out and that's a Monday, right? You get 150 QSOs or just navigating that pileup. I mean, do you feel like that's made you a significantly better op?
Oh yes, for sure. I think, and I'm gonna do a little bit of self promotion here. I've not always been a great op. I've learned more. I've always been willing to embarrass myself. So I never waited until I was a good op to go operate. Same thing with CW. POTA has made me a much better op by far. It's like, again, because it's repeated practice. I do it about like once a week.
Yep.
And or like 3-4 times in a given week, and then the next week I don't do anything. But on average, I've done like 60-80 operations a year. So that's a bit over one a week.
Yeah.
I think that POTA has made me a better software developer. I think one of the big things about Polo is that I went out to operate today to play with the latest version of Polo. I wanted to make sure it was working fine. I wanted to test everything and the new maps and whatnot. Every time I add something to Polo, I go out and use it repeatedly. And like when we did call sign stacking, that was something that Dan suggested when we were down for Hamvention, and I figured out how to do it relatively easy and added it. The first time I used it, it was a mediocre experience because it will only let you put the call sign at the end, the one you were working. And I spent the day figuring out how it could recognize any full calls in the middle of the stack and used it. Made call sign stack work so much better. And like, I don't know if you have that chance to use it, but it's like, I love now, anytime I hear a partial call in a pileup, I write it down so I can, the next, instead of calling uh, Cure Z, I call that particular call. So I don't have a pileup. I only have one person responding. And it's because it's easy to write it down. And that's because I went out and used the app and went back and fixed it. It's like, it's they call it dog fooding, eating your own dog food in the
Yeah.
software industry. And I love having Poda gives me a chance to do that and practice it and play with it every day. If I were writing a contest logger, I would not have a chance to test it that often.
Yeah. That's a great call out. Okay, so I have a few thoughts. I'm going to try to recover them, but that's for me. That's like it means a lot to deliver a product to the market that actually solves a real problem. And when we started this live stream, I mentioned how the amount of time you gave me back, and that's just one of many benefits to Polo. And you've never asked me, you've never paid me to say any of this. It's just common sense. It's a very useful tool, and it's incredible to use in the field. So I love that, obviously delivering a product to the market that solves a real tangible problem. I have friends, older friends in the hobby, right? They've been hams for decades, and they've been really intimidated by abandoning the way they've done something for decades, right? It's extremely hard to change the way we've always done something, kind of teach an old dog new tricks, right? Like imagine going from Android to iPhone and vice versa. Or they'll say, oh, I'm worried about fat fingering something. Every one of my friends that has left paper logging for a Polo, every one of them has been like, dude, I should have done this way sooner. It's been super high impact. So again, to your point, it changes when the actual developer is in the weeds and in the trenches and you're actually involved in the hobby. It could be easy for a third party or somebody on the outside to see, okay, this is some things I could do. But for you to actually you're almost, I mean, you're your own beta tester. You're going out into the
I mean,
field.
I'm doing it for me. It's like
Right. Yeah.
I love that you're getting the benefits of it, but I'm really selfish here. I built all of this just to get the tool I wanted to have, because none of the other login apps were like close to what I wanted. I had so many ideas and complaints and nitpicking, and like one day I said, just shut up and go build it. And I'm really happy with what's coming out. I want to
Yeah.
take a little break to say hi to Whiskey 2 Charlie Oscar Delta, a good friend out here from Sullivan County in New York. He really knew me before I was famous or a top shelf operator. He probably saw one of my first few bad QSOs trying to do trying to do field day. Couple of like probably 2021 or 2022, we did my first field day with the club up here in Sullivan County, and he was there. So hey, Mark, just big hi from here. Haven't seen you in a while. We gotta meet. And also to Kilo Golf 2 Mike, who worked me this today. Uh, and yep, call stacking is a game changer. I think I completely agree. No, it's yeah, I think that it makes a difference to just see what you're doing. And I've also had a great time when I go out and operate with someone else. Like this time in Hamvention, and I went out with Dan and Jamie and the crew and saw them how they operated and how they use Polo, and it gave me like, I mean, most of the March release was full of stuff that came out of that one day of operation. Bunch of ideas that came from watching people use the app and how they were doing things I don't use necessarily myself. But that when I see people using it, I understand how they do it, and we can add more features. So I really love whenever I have a chance to go out and operate with other people that are using Polo, just to see how they use it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think it's, I work in software. I'm not, so many of the people I meet in this hobby are very involved in software, and more often than not, they're kind of on your end. They're into developing or kind of the technical side.
Mhm.
I'm actually in software sales, which is funny. So I don't necessarily understand, like I like coding and those types of things are so beyond me, but I do know how impactful it is to get feedback and for you to be in the weeds, in the trenches with other users. You almost call it customer feedback. Of course, not everyone has good ideas. And when you do make changes, it can't be a one-off. It has to be for the wider scope. If I make this change to my product, is this going to impact the broad range of people? I don't want to tangent too, but I was going to comment on two things really fast, going back to what you mentioned, and we can come back to this subject. But when you said you are now in a position within 5 minutes you can deploy a station, like, is that not the coolest part of ham radio? Is that not the coolest part of field operations? Is your own communications infrastructure?
Yeah.
Nobody else can do that. We are
Yeah.
so reliant on the grid. We're so reliant on our cell phone tower. But I'm like, no, dude, put me anywhere you want with a wire in my little rig that weighs like 7 ounces, and I can make contacts all over the world.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's like it's not the kind of thing I go out bragging out to my Mongol friends who are not into ham radio. But every now and then the conversation topic comes up, and it's like, yeah, I can in 5 minutes I can be talking to France. I can't talk with one particular person that you ask me right now out of a hat, pull out a name, and I don't know if I can get in touch with them. I can get in touch with somebody who can get in touch with them. Yeah. I know that if in the middle of an emergency, in 5 minutes, I can go out and put out a message asking people to help me get that message further. And like without the need of anything else with what I have in the backpack.
Yep.
Which is it gives you a feeling of, it's not a feeling of invincibility. It's a feeling of resilience, that if things get suddenly, like if there's an earthquake, because storms you can prepare for, but if there's an earthquake, what do you do? I know I can, if there's an earthquake, there are not many here in upstate New York, but if there's something catastrophic happening, I can communicate in 5 minutes. It can be out communicating and passing messages.
Yeah, and you have the know-how. I think you mentioned Hurricane Helene, which is just a phenomenal example, but you're now such a valuable member of your specific community where you're at, where even if a disaster did happen right now, I have some of the know-how and knowledge, and I have some of the resources. Of course, I'm not going to be handing out bugs to everyone. I wish it was that simple, but I have handheld, I have HTs. We can go out, and same thing with our own families or loved ones, right? Just to be able to say, hey, in the event of this, tune to here, I'm going to call you. And they don't need to have a license in that moment as an emergency situation. The other thing I was sorry, I know I don't want to hijack, but there was a couple topics I wanted to spend time on.
Hijack. The whole point was to hear you talk, not me. So go for it.
No, well, it's fun because it's our first time hanging out, so this is good. Yeah. But I asked you if you felt like it made you a better op, and unequivocally, yes, right? Like, because it's the way you described it was just, you're getting to regularly create these baptism by fire moments and events. And obviously once you've done it enough, like if you did 80, 90, you're doing over one a week through a year, you're going to start to figure stuff out really fast, and you'll become a very, very good op very fast, as opposed to that one, that occasional contest you hang out in or field day. And for me with CW, POTA completely changed that for me, because, and I'll even share kind of how Polo incorporates that. But when I first got into CW and POTA, I was using a script. I wasn't saying good morning, good afternoon. I was saying KI7QCF, maybe thank you, maybe a Roger and a thank you, and then 599 if you were a good signal, and then if you were a bad signal, 559, because I wasn't messing with 2s, 3s, 7s, and 8s yet. I just wasn't there yet.
I've learned to send the Ks and the BKs now. That's my leveling up.
Okay, love it. Well, the BK, I don't know if certain people are in the chat, but the BK is a controversial topic among some of I have some very advanced CW friends that are getting into POTA, and the BK is I don't want to derail the convo, but the BK is an interesting one as far as when we come back to somebody sending BK versus ending the transmission.
You're derailing your own derailing, so it's okay.
I know. I know if they're in the chat, they'll be so happy I just mentioned that. I don't know if they are, but I was going to say with becoming a better op, activating every single day, especially with CW, navigating the pile up. You want to also help me like with my sending ability with CW, like specifically, is I made the decision as soon as I got Polo, I'm like, well, geez, now that I can see that KI2D, that's Sebastian, I'm going to send Sebastian. And I do that. And I know everyone doesn't love that. And here's what I'll say. It's your activation. You run your activation as you want. If you just want to get call signs and then send signal reports in 73, great. I say find business a heck of a lot because my name is Forrest. My wife's name is Brooke. My son is Finn Booker. Nobody knows that. I've never shared that. But I said find business because when I learned FB meant cool or just right on, it was a familiar connection to me. And I said, good afternoon. And I will call you by your name every single time. And guess what happens when you activate POTA every single day and you're sending everyone's names? You get better at CW because now I am sending new letters, new characters, things I'm not used. One of my buddies in California, W6UDT, his name is Ushesh, Ushesh. Try sending that on a paddle. Break a paddle out right now. And it makes
ESH. That's a tough one. ESH5.
Oh, that's brutal. You get those dits, those string of dits, but
yeah,
I get these names where now it's like, I remember thinking Steve was such a hard name to send on a paddle, but I'm like, oh, I'm really good at sending Steve, except for that Cootie QSO I made today. That was to my buddy Steve. That was brutal. But no,
that's okay.
Yeah, it is very embarrassing.
Speaking of Steve, I want to just highlight one of the comments in the chat. He was talking about how, going back to the resilience and communications, that how he had somebody on Sable Island, which is 100 miles from him in Nova Scotia. He wanted to reach, and he had a guy in New Zealand do a relay because of how propagation works. Sometimes that's the way to do it, but
that's cool.
You can make that happen. And Steve, thanks for a QSO today again. You're always hunting me when I'm in a park. Thank you for that. There's also we have a question here in the chat. Where did it go? Here. Brian is asking, like, you recently mentioned removing some shorts. Do you think YouTube has changed your humor and how you interact with others in person?
Oh man, that's a great question. First of all, Brian, good to see you, man. I got your QSL card, and Anna. I just got Anna's QSL card the other day. It's right.
Brian and Anna are the best.
They're the best.
I gotta say that. Anna probably a little bit better than Brian, but
right, yeah, significantly. But we won't dive into that too deeply. No, just kidding. They're both great, and they both have been hunting me on bugs, so they got some bug stickers headed their way. Brian, great question. I've worked really hard on a few shorts where I just kept a straight face and then absolutely nobody got it. And one short, my wife was like, I didn't know if you were being serious or not. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go delete that. So I've done a few shorts where, you'd have to almost know me personally and be a good friend to really appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm just confusing a wide audience. So I think it does. I want to be myself. That's really important to me with my channel. I get a lot of feedback from people like, hey, dude, you shouldn't do this or you should do that. And I really value feedback. I also want to stay true to myself and do what I want to do. A reminder, I was posting hundreds of shorts and my shorts were getting 15, 20 likes at a time. It's only in the last 30 days my channel's grown to, it'll be at 40,000 subscribers soon. And I think my channel's almost at 27 million total views. And that's been really, really fun. But I also have had to change my channel because I can't just go out and do a POTA activation and film it and do 28 words a minute. I have so many new people. In fact, can I just a tangent? So guys, this is a little bit of a teaser. KR4CGN in the state of New York. This is KE2FKV. And then we have Washington KK7ZT. I'm starting to put together care packages. These are 3 individuals licensed, receiving their license in the last week or two, that after my how to get started with Morse code video, they've reached out and said, dude, you've inspired me to go get licensed. So I have like 5, I have 2 more stickers coming, but I'm putting together some care packages for these people. It's when I originally started to go out and share my journey on YouTube, it wasn't necessarily to attract new people to the hobby or try to get this type of influence. I just wanted to share my journey and just have a form of expression for CW because I'm so passionate about it. But as time has gone on, I'm reminded that, dude, if it wasn't for YouTube, like I literally wouldn't be here. I'd be on Twitter, like following sports news and door dashing my weekly, bro. Yeah, just straight up trolling. But it's because of YouTube. So now that people are coming like, oh man, I saw your video. This is so cool. And they're seeing like, I always say CW chose me. I didn't choose CW. And that's very cheesy, but I'm being serious. And I'm seeing that with other people. And that's like the most rewarding thing. I think, Sebastian, you probably agree, but when you're very passionate about something, you almost like care more about other people sharing that, like being able to share it with them and see their excitement. I think that's why our grandpas brought us into their shack.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. It's again, I said it that polo. I started polo very selfishly because it's the tool I wanted to build, and I think that I'm happy with what I did there. But there's nothing like seeing someone else use it and feel that connection. There's it because you're putting out something in the world, and when other people use it or watch it and react to it, they acknowledge what you did. That's like it's yes, it's
Yeah.
there, it's being used. There's nothing like that. It's like it's the like or the favorite on a tweet an Instagram post multiplied by a million.
Yeah. And I mean, you thanked me earlier and you said thanks for your contributions and like genuinely, I said this to start the live stream. The amount of I can activate more often now. I can actually get on the air more often because of Polo. Genuinely. I used to lose significant amount of time. I had to cut my activation. I think I told you that. I had to cut my activation short because if I'm at 70 QSOs, I've got to go log those manually now for my
Oh
paper log.
no, yeah, no,
You know what I mean? So
you're making me feel bad already. Like it's giving me bad. Yes, no, that's that thing where you said, yeah, I don't want to keep doing this thing I'm enjoying because I'm regretting what comes after.
yeah,
That is not a nice feeling.
yeah.
I want to get rid of that feeling.
I I made another video so I could label some of just the return on investment, right? The value that the tools had, but I made that other video about how if I've made 12,000 QSOs on in POTA the last almost 12 months for so about 1,000 QSOs a month, there's probably at least 4 or 5 and more early on that Polo actually corrected for me. Like you said, you gave that example earlier of hearing the female voice against the call. I have that one video where I share just the guy sending me another QTH. I realized, oh, I might have got his call wrong. And I just asked, and he was like, yeah, no, this is my call. And so now he got credit for that park and he wouldn't have. So there's a bunch I could label, but that's a big one for me, just the validation of the call.
Yeah. Well, to change the subject to something that's more embarrassing, I think your camera went out of focus there, but
Oh, that's so
that's
embarrassing.
okay.
We might be in
Yeah.
trouble. Let me actually turn it off and then bring it back. Boom. Look at me.
Yep, that seems
Crystal
to be
clear.
better. I'm surprised. My camera sometimes goes pink. The sensor dies in the middle of a stream. So
My
I'm
camera,
glad it survived just fine today.
yeah, you're crystal clear on my end. I'm looking a little blurry. I
Yeah.
might go blurry again. My camera, just depending on the lighting. This gray paint's very cool. It's awful for YouTube.
Yeah. But hey, you seem to be knowing what you're doing. How did you go into YouTube? It's like, what got you started? Was it your you mentioned your grandfather?
No, YouTube.
Yes.
I've always loved YouTube. So I have like an infinite amount of hobbies. I'm so interested in so many. Like if you have hobbies outside of ham radio, oftentimes we share it in common.
Have you seen behind me?
Oh yeah.
That's it's my workshop / hobby graveyard. Not graveyard. They're all in animated suspension.
That's awesome. But no, I learned to fly fish. I learned how to ride a motorcycle. I taught myself. I love sport bikes, so I got into I learned basically everything I learned how to do was YouTube. But my channel, so exactly 12 months ago, right now, I had 170 subscribers, and it was because I had like 6 or 7 videos that all did really well of just my motorcycles that I had, and that was what I did. Like 2023, I did a few videos, but I just did a few videos for fun. I definitely wasn't like posting as often as I do now. And POTA started and I really started posting. And again, my first 6, 7, 8 months on YouTube, my channel grew well, but it wasn't parabolic. I grew with a few hundred subscribers to eventually hitting 1,000 by the fall. And I think by the beginning of the year, I hit 2,000. But yeah, YouTube was a fun way to express. Again, I have to credit like a W4ARB, Aaron. If you know Aaron, W4ARB, Evan, K2EJT, obviously Thomas, K4SWL. My uncle posted that initial video. He never posted again. My POTA content consumption was exclusively those guys and probably a few others I'm not naming, but that was huge for me to sit there and listen to Aaron, W4ARB, Tuskegee National Forest, and try to copy the call signs coming into him. I remember commenting on his videos like, man, I'm learning CW. I hope I can do this someday. And I'm getting a lot of those comments right now, and it makes me excited. And hopefully the people watching start making their own videos. I
Yeah.
think that's great.
I mean, part of it is realize that, I mean, it's that thing. You had an overnight success that took you years to build.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, start out now.
Yeah.
And it'll take months to get whenever, but if you don't start out now, you will never make it. I'm gonna use that as a like to hijack against the conversation. A comment I just saw in the chat, Ham2K saying that that's a holdup for my first activation. I'm so nervous I won't get it right for the hunters. Ham2K, I love you. I'm gonna give you the tough talk. Go out and activate. Don't stop because you're afraid of what people will think of your operation abilities. Go out and activate, because you'll be surprised. POTA hunters are the nicest crowd out there. I'd be scared of go out for the first time in a contest, because people will scream at you in a contest if you're too slow or if you say thank you. In a POTA activation, people will not say, and will give you a little bit of feedback, constructive feedback in the middle of the thing, and then get out of the way so you can continue with your activation. Just go out and do it. You'll be very happy that you did it. You'll have a blast. That really, don't wait anymore. Like, go make the mistakes on the air, because you're not going to be able to learn it while trying to practice at home without a real operation. And go do it with POTA, because it's the nicest crowd out there. I don't know if you want to add to that, but I really wanted to put that out for Ham2K and anybody else who's thinking about activating, and they're afraid of making mistakes or getting it right, or just go out and do it. Worst that can happen is you go out, your radio fails, you don't do the activation, you go back home, you learn from it, you go back and do it again. No one will scream at you, and if they do, I'll ban them from Polo. Tell me the call sign of whomever screamed at you in the middle of your first activation, they'll be banned from Polo for life.
I'd love to add to that really fast. And Ham2K, thanks so much for that comment, that vulnerability. I think, like, I'll never forget that I said 3 words to my wife the day I decided to go activate, April 13th, 2024, my first activation. I had no business activating as a CW op. I wasn't there yet. I couldn't copy. I copied NVCD as my first call sign. I said, the 3 words I said is, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just going to try. And somebody said something very powerful, and I really hold to this. It's your activation. So remember that if you go out to activate, it's your activation. And as cheesy as this is, the POTA activator is the man in the arena. I know a lot of CW ops with a lot of statistics in hunting, but a lot of them, similar to you, they're afraid to go out and activate or put themselves out there, make themselves vulnerable. When you do finally make that decision, it's your show, baby. Do not worry about what anyone else thinks.
And you mentioned Soda earlier, and Parag from Ireland is mentioning WWFF, World Wildlife Fauna and Flora. It's not just POTA. It's all of these programs where you go out and activate, because you're doing people a favor by going to the park, the summit, the island, the bunker, and activating it so that they can claim it on their logs. You're doing a favor for everybody else. People appreciate it. So go out and do it. And do, like, again, it's not just POTA, it's any of these programs that get you to operate portable and go to places. It's like the same thing with a de-expedition. I thought people get more passionate against de-expeditions and start yelling at them and posting things in the spotting networks, and it's a mess. But yes, you are doing people a favor by activating, so don't worry about getting it wrong. Go out and do it. And I want to just also highlight something, because James Haddock's saying here that he needs to go check out Polo. If you need to do something also very important, go check out Polo. You'll be glad you did. It's like, don't be afraid to do your first activation, and don't be afraid to try using Polo. I mean, a lot of people haven't tried Polo because they normally log on their laptops. And I have to say first thing, Polo for Windows and Mac and Linux is coming. It'll take a bit of work yet, but it's coming. But you'd be surprised at how good a phone is for activating, because you're not doing a contest where you're trying to not move your eyes or things. You can type. I've logged 300 uses per hour on my phone. I might be not terrible at thumb typing, but you can do 60 uses per hour on your phone, no problem. So give it a try because it's probably you're gonna realize that it frees you from the shackles of the notebook, the laptop, the paper logging, all of that. It's you're gonna be happy you did it.
And real fast, James. James is a good friend of mine. K7WA. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. And James, go. I agree. +1 to Sebastian. Go try Polo, and shoot me an email after you try it. James actually gifted me a book on his childhood friend wrote the book Up the Tower, putting up a CW or a ham radio tower. So James, good to see you. Go try Polo. Let me know how you like it.
I love seeing people coming out. I also use like Bluetooth keyboards and all of that. But one thing that I want to take Polo. I don't want to limit Polo to only PODA and portable operations. I want to build a very good, both a good like day-to-day general logger and a good contest logger. So I've realized that especially for contest, I like the focus I get when everything I need is in a screen this big. When you're in a contest, I don't want to have 6 23-inch monitors up in the wall where I have to move my neck just to find where's the band map over there. Is that the first radio? Or no, that's the second. No, I want to be able to get everything on a very small area where I can really keep my focus. And I think I have the feeling that maybe not a phone, but a small tablet, an iPad mini might be the best contesting screen if you build the right software for it. And I'm saying that I'm trying to build the right software for it.
You should watch really fast, my buddy Tim K5OHY, my first ever CWQ. So he just posted a video and he ran CWT from Polo on his iPad. And I know my friend Steve WI5D, I talked about him. They're on their iPads and Polo freaking rocks. But he did CWT. Yeah.
We need to figure out how to do the best CWT interface on Polo. I'm all for it. I have the handicap that I'm not good enough at CW to do CWT. So I don't know all the problems I need to solve. But hey, contact me. Get on the Discord, reach out, and we'll do the best CW logger ever with Polo.
Here's what I'll tell you. You're a popular enough guy. You don't need me. But when you get comfortable, crank that CW speed up to 25, and just in PODA or anywhere. If you're at 25 words a minute, I would be very proud to nominate you. I think for CWT, for CW Ops, if you're interested, I think CW Ops is a very cool program. I am a member. It meant a lot to me to be nominated. But I have a few friends I've nominated, and you just need 2 or 3 QSOs with 3 different or 4 different ops at 25 words a minute. And then that's another good way to continue your progression. And CWT would be lucky to have you with Polo doing some stuff there. So.
I need to. I can copy 25. I cannot key 25. I think it's easy to. I learned CW by actually at 3540, which I think is the good shortcut. But keying above 20, it's a whole different problem.
Here's what I'll tell you. Download. Have you used the software Iambic Master?
No.
Do it. If you're a software guy, you will love that little tool. That's a phenomenal, simple tool for keying. And I really recommend it. That's how I've gained a lot of proficiency. That and Polo, sending people's names. But you can get there. Don't say I can't. You can.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, my only problem is I need to find time to do both that and Polo. So I don't have enough free time to do everything. So my CW has been hurt by Polo. And I don't regret that. But like, yeah. I need more free time to do both things. And yeah, people are suggesting do join the Polo Discord. It's links down there in the comments. You can find it here, whatever the comments are. And okay, you're back.
I'm trying to refresh my resolution. Kind of keeps going out. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's never you. I am usually the one who tends to have bandwidth problems here, so we'll see what the end result looks like. Man, it's been really fun having you. I don't want to extend this past a whole hour, but we've been having a blast. the I don't know. Are you gonna be out in convention?
So I'm a game time decision. I feel like I have to. I feel like I have to make it out there. So I probably will. I haven't purchased my airfare yet, so maybe I'll just drive the O5 Silverado out there, put the ATAS up top with the 891, do some POTUS. No, I think I'll be out there at least for a day. Uh, but yeah, if you're out there, I'll have to buy you lunch for all that time you've saved me.
And I'll be there Wednesday to Friday. I have to fly
Okay.
back on Saturday morning.
Is
I'll be
anything
there.
happening Wednesday, Thursday?
Many things.
Oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I thought it was just Friday to Sunday.
there's Contest University happens on Thursday and Friday, I think, or Thursday. And so a lot of people show up earlier on Wednesday and Thursday for Contest University and just to be there. The actual convention is Friday to Sunday.
Gotcha. Okay.
But and there are like different dinners and events and meetups and stuff. I think starting on Wednesday. Um, there's always there's people will start getting there on Tuesday, Wednesday, and organize things. Um, Brian and Anna will be there, which I'm really looking forward to see. Maybe we should do some kind of like polo dinner, polo bar night. I'll start looking into that.
Yeah, let me know, man. I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't know if the chat has anything else to add before we
Just real fast,
wrap this up.
I'd love to shout out. Yeah, if we're gonna wrap up, first and foremost, thanks for the invite. This is actually my first ever live stream that I haven't done anything outside of my channel yet. So
Wow.
thanks for the invite. I was a little nervous.
That's because you look too serious in your videos and nobody wants to talk to you.
Dude, yeah,
that's the problem.
It's those shorts I've had to delete. People are like, I'll probably have to delete this live stream.
Yeah.
No, I think just real fast, I want to just say thank you. It's great meeting you, and I'm a huge advocate for your product. You're making a huge impact in our hobby. And then I did have a few friends just in the chat really quick. So my good buddy Jordan, VK3ACU, that dude's watching from Australia. How do you like that? So we've had,
nice.
We've kind of covered a bunch of continents in this live stream. That's pretty epic. But
Jordan, the quick interruption, the April version of release of Polo, the startup photo is from Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a significant presence in Australia. I don't know if significant, but we have very passionate users in Australia. And yeah, I wanted to acknowledge that with the photo of this upcoming April release.
Wow. Yeah. And Jordan just said, definitely going to get on the Discord. I'm glad I joined the stream. I did not know about Polo. Thanks for the stream. Jordan, you will be a Polo, massive Polo fan. And then my buddy Jay, KI7QCF, I don't know if Jay's still in here, but really good to see my buddy Jay. He's doing some YouTube stuff as well. But just cool to see some of my friends joining. And thanks for having me.
Same here. Yeah. I love seeing some people in the chat I haven't seen in a while. And some people I see all the time that I'm also happy to see. That was great. Forrest, it was really, really nice for you to come to our live stream, for this to be your very first live stream. I'm glad you were not shy and joined us. We had a great time talking about CW and bugs and POTA and all of that. This was a very fun hour. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, all thanks to you. I am going to send you a QSL card for the face-to-face QSO, even though we do have a CW QSO. I know you know that, but I'll be sending some stickers your way, and maybe we'll hear you on a bug here soon.
I'll wait for your QSL card to respond properly. I was going to say I will send you some, but yes, yeah, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
This has been a very great conversation, and thanks everybody for being here in the chat and anyone who watched later. Again, remember, Forrest channel is here down in the channel, the video description. Look it up, join, subscribe, join our channel, click on the bell, click on subscribe, click on all the things, leave comments, just be nice. That's all I'm asking. Okay? 73, and good night, everybody.
73.